It's like, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us today for the forum. Again, as usual, we would have a couple of updates from our office as well as our colleagues in accounting, following which it's time for you to ask questions from any members who is online, our office or otherwise. So hopefully we would learn from each other too. So with that, let's start with updates. Oh, by the way, on the award side, I don't think we have very many updates, and Grace is not available today. But let's start with the proposals. Kelly, could you give us updates on the proposal side, please?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Good morning, everyone. I have a few updates to share with you this morning. The first is that grants.gov will be migrated to the cloud, and as a result will be unavailable between Friday, September 23rd and Thursday, September 29th. Typically, their maintenance is performed between Friday evening and Monday morning, so it's very minimal impact for us. So this is a rather long and unusual occurrence. Grants.gov has stated that this migration will result in fewer maintenance outages, higher availability, and a more modern infrastructure to support future enhancements to the system. Right now, we are currently aware that NIH has 2 submissions that are listed as being due within that closure window. The due dates for both are September 25th, and they are the P grant submission for the multi-component center grant and the T32 training grants. We've reached out to find out whether the submission deadline will be extended, but have not yet received an answer. So we'll keep you posted as we learn more about that. Additionally, please note that the grants.gov training center will be closed for maintenance from August 30th through September 19th. So I know that some people on campus use that, especially for new employees, so just be aware that during that about 2.5-week period, that will be unavailable. My second announcement is just a reminder that proposals will review and sign forms associated with proposals as an AOR. So a lot of that's institutional information that they're requesting, like tax ID number, bank account information, that type of thing. But we don't actually complete those forms. We're happy to assist you in locating information necessary for the forms, but I wanted to make you aware that most of the information should be available on our website in the institutional information page or through the UCOP annual audit that's on their website. So if you have any difficulty in locating any of the information necessary for those forms, please don't hesitate to reach out to us, but please don't send blank forms over expecting that we're going to be able to complete them, especially given the tight deadlines that we often work with to get the proposals submitted. So that would be really helpful for us. And then finally, just a friendly reminder that non-UC employees should not be listed as PIs, co-PIs, or co-investigators on any project unless there's a subaward that is present on those projects. Does anybody have any questions specific to proposals that I can help with? Okay, I'm not seeing anything, but I'll continue to watch the chat box.
Okay, thank you very much, Kelly. A couple of points regarding the first point that Kelly made, grants.gov being offline for a week. This is, since they started, this is the very first time that for such a long period of time they are going to be offline. So, this is 2.5 months down the road or so. I suppose reasonable assumption is that the funding agencies are aware of that, and the ones who are relying on grants.gov most probably are not going to put deadlines right in the middle of that period. I said that's reasonable assumption. So I'm not going to say anything more than that, whether it is reasonable or not. But having said that, if, like for example, in the 2 cases that we are aware right now, and there might be more cases, that NIH has deadlines in the middle of that period and they won't change it. If you want to meet the deadline, you have to give us the proposal way before that. So again, hopefully there is coordination, and we won't face a situation that funding agency says that the deadline is here, take it or leave it, and grants.gov says that we are not available to take it. So I just put the, let's see, the website that shows the schedule of the maintenance of grants.gov in the chat. So you would see the information there, and you would see that all of the other situations that they do a lot of maintenance. The maintenance are always over the weekend. That's what it has been. So anyway, that's where we are on that. One other thing that Kelly mentioned regarding not using non-UC employees as co-PI, somebody who's listed on the top of the proposal, unless if we are issuing a sub-award to them. The issue has to do with compliance issues and risk management, frankly, of the regions. If somebody is not an employee of regions don't have any control over them. And that's why we would not be able to accept them as PIs or co-PIs. The only way that there are sometimes that the researcher wants to have maybe a big name, or maybe the other end of the spectrum is a new person in another institution, maybe their student or somebody, to start getting recognition. If that's the case, the only way we would be able to do that is if the proposal includes a provision of issuing a sub-award to the institution of that person who is not a UC employee. So that's very important. From time to time, we get PIs who want to have somebody from somewhere else on an NIH award, and we can't do it. But that's that. Let's see. I already said that I don't think there's any updates from the award side at this point. So how about if we go to one other issue before we go to James from our office. That we used to have basically office hours before the pandemic in our office on site, that members of the campus would come over. I think we had them once a week, ask questions regarding working on proposals or whatever they had to do with our databases and so on and so forth, and get directions from members of sponsored programs. During COVID, obviously, we couldn't have those in-person meetings, but Perry has just started office hours for that same purpose, and I sent a message to the list a couple of weeks ago, and the first office hour was, I believe, last week. I would like Perry to say, give us an update on that whole issue. Perry?
Hello. Good morning, everybody. Good to see all your faces, all of my coworkers. Yeah, we had our first office hours last week, and a few people showed up thinking it would be a class, and that's not the purpose of office hours, just like a professor's office hours. The sponsored programs office hours are an opportunity when you can chat with our knowledgeable sponsored programs office staff and bring your questions, something you may be working on currently regarding a proposal you're trying to prepare for submission to a sponsor, or you can bring questions about awards or sub-awards. Just come with your questions, and we make ourselves available to address them in person. And if you just want to join learn from the questions that others ask, you are welcome as well. So the SPO office hours occur on the first and third Thursday of each month from 10 to 11. You can drop in anytime during that period and get your questions answered. And while I have you, well, you'll see in the chat, I posted the link to the office hours. I jumped the gun. I just wanted to make sure that the links were going to work, and I wanted to put a space at the end, and it sent it to the chat. So in there, you see the link to the office hours. Also, there's a link to a web page that has information on all of SPO's training opportunities, including links where you can add the recurring office hours to your calendar. And I just want to let you know about two other training opportunities coming up in August. On Thursday, August 11th, we're going to hold our first session of the new quarterly research administration workshops. Those of you who have been here a while, these were formerly known as SPO Basics. And that topic on August 11th is going to be submitting multi-component proposals to NIH in Assist. And again, that's on Thursday, August 11th. It'll be via Zoom from 9 to 11. And if you're interested, write SPO training at ucdavis.edu, and I'll put that in the chat here. And we'll send you the Zoom access information for that class, that workshop. And additionally, we have a UC Learning Center instructor-led training via Zoom, and that is on electronic research administration. So it covers CAIUS, and it covers the external systems that we partner with to submit proposals and manage grants. And that'll take place on Thursday, August 18th from 9 to 12. And again, details are on that webpage that I put in the chat. So does anyone have any questions about all that? Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Perry. Before we go to James for update on contracts and grants accounting, I see a question regarding IRB number. It's directed to Kelly, but maybe either Chris or Alisa, or either Kelly, any of the three, they might be able to answer the question.
Hi, Ahmad. Yes, I went ahead and put an answer in the chat so everyone can see it, but and John can correct me if I'm wrong, of course, but my understanding is that at time of proposal, the IRB number is needed on the Form 800 so that the IRB net number, so that at time of award, the IRB can associate the IRB protocol with that compliance item so they can see that it's accomplished. So you can go into IRB and net, quickly like put in some minimal information like a title, save, create your IRB number, and then go back to Form 800 and put it in there. This saves the PI from having to redo Form 800 at time of award when they're issuing the IRB protocol, because those Form 800s cannot be edited. So it's a really good way to align it, and really takes pretty brief information from my understanding in IRB net.
Okay, I see that John is nodding head. John, anything more about that?
No, I think that Alyssa nailed it. It just makes it a whole lot easier for us also. If we have a researcher with multiple awards and we do a search on their name, we'll also get the form, but then we've got to figure out what award and what protocol that we're talking about. And it gets very complicated quickly.
Thank you both. Okay, how about if you go to James? James? He's trying to.
Good morning. Sorry, multitasking. Well, happy, whatever it is, July. So we're still in CGA finishing up the fiscal close processes this week. It's always a good time for everybody with a lot of stuff going on. I know many of you probably is kind of fading into the rear view mirror at this point, but we're still trying to get things all tidied up so that we're able to roll the balances into July, and you'll have ledgers that have the complete picture. That happens in early August when you'll actually start seeing the full picture on the July. In decision support, you'll start seeing that. I wanted to update you all on a couple of things that were mentioned last time, and one was there was a question about, or a concern, or I don't know what word to use, about corrections for tax accruals. So I spoke with the director of our tax reporting and compliance team, and don't know, I'll say we negotiated what I hope is a nice compromise. I want to try to share my screen here. Boom, boom, boom. I don't have a little bar around the screen, but is everyone seeing a web page from the accounting? All right. So here's the new general direction. So they want to maintain the $500 threshold for everything except sponsored agreements. She agreed to drop it down to 100 as far as what her team could process if it was related to sponsored projects. So where that leaves you all is if you have adjustments under $100, those represent unallowable costs. If it's less than $100, we're going to leave that on you for the most part to clear those out. My understanding is this is driven by when people are entering stuff into the system, they're forgetting to flip a flag. I'm not familiar at all with what's actually happening on the input side, but that's what I understand. So I don't know, maybe that'll encourage you to, remember to flip the right flag to do that correctly. So that, and again, if for some reason this is going to create an incredible hardship for you, please, I would say just reach out to Diane Davies Conley. She's the director over there. Oops. Well, anyway, you can find her on the web page. So hopefully that is helpful. The other thing I wanted to share with you is someone brought up that I think we're talking about the NIFA salary cap that wasn't available in UC Path. So at this point, we have added in the USDA NIFA salary cap is now available for us to set up, and that'll feed over to UC Path. This is now the complete list of salary caps that are available for us to tag in KFS, and then that again gets fed over to UC Path for you to pick them up and use them. If other caps come along that we feel we need to have added, there's a process where campuses submit that request over to UCOP, and then they coordinate and make sure that that's really what's required, and that cap is legit and everything. They don't want everybody just independently bombarding the UC Path Center. So once UCOP gets that information, they will communicate it to UC Path to do that. I don't know the whole timeline on the process, but it takes a few steps when we're updating both UC Path, and then of course, like I'm showing you here, this I didn't explain. So all I'm showing here on the screen is this is the KFS award document that we use to set up awards with all the various attributes. I just dropped down to the one we're talking about. Okay, so that is pretty much my update. We still have a few vacancies we're working on, so we're a little behind, especially with fiscal close and all the other activities that are going on. So if you have any critical items or questions, please reach out and let us know that you have something happening. I think I've mentioned before, but I'll just put it up here again. We have an email for general inquiries coming into CGA. So that's Ask CGA at UC Davis. That's that's monitored by a couple of folks, but it may take a day or so to get a response back. But if you don't know who to ask, that would be who to ask. Trying to see if there was anything else. Yeah. Okay, that was what I was planning to share this morning. Y'all have any? Again, like Ahmad likes to remind y'all, this is your time to beat up on James. No, to ask inquiring, thoughtful questions of James.
Hey, James, I actually have a question on your salary caps that you mentioned NEPA. And in proposals, it was our understanding that they don't enforce the salary cap at all as long as you put the base salary in the budget justification.
So that's a great point, Alyssa, and that's why I think that we had kind of held off on it. It was because this is not a hard salary cap the same way, you know, NIH is. It's like you're not going to get a waiver for to charge more than the NIH salary cap. My understanding is it can be approved at a higher salary. It just has to have USDA NIFA saying, yeah, that's okay. The problem is if a department wants to actually use that salary cap, they have no way of doing it outside of this process NDC path that will actually pull those dollars and treat them as, you know, what we'll call non-rated. Without doing that, the effort reports get all, you know, misaligned, I guess. So yeah, but good. That's a big asterisk next to this one. Not sure if so. CCIC or note about polling PIs. I know that we've got a couple of tickets that we're trying to get the cost share system. A couple of glitches in there. I'm not sure if I don't see that Deborah's on. And that was the other thing. We've actually, well, okay, I won't go there because I don't have the actual answer. So thank you, Cece. I can follow up and see if there's any movement on getting whatever glitch that is to move along. You know, right now with the Oracle planning and implementation, it's pretty much total focus on future state. But if we have problems in our existing systems, you know, they're trying to carve out some time to try to resolve problems. Alrighty then, I'll stop sharing. I guess that's enough of that.
Thank you very much, James.
There's a question about KWords. KWords is a completely different thing. If you have a question about KWords, please email me email me. It doesn't work the same way.
James, this is Lindsay from CPE. Sorry, I'm on my phone, so my video's off. About the cost share system, I've been working with Deborah on that. I have over 150 closeouts to do for you guys, and I can't complete anything without the cost share system. How I know it's not priority, but at the same time, these things are kind of snowballing and piling up. And I just am concerned that they're going to continue to pile up.
Mm-hmm. Well, can you email me separately and Deborah, and let's figure out a way to get rid of them.
Okay, thank you.
I thought you were going to tell me like I owed you a signature or something.
No.
Okay, any other questions for any of us? Or sharing any information, any best practice that anybody has? Otherwise, this seems to be a very short meeting. No? Well, I guess this is the last call.
In the chat, there's a question for James.
I'm glad it's for James. James?
Yeah, so I mean, yes, it may be possible. I mean, this is something we've been attempting to put together for quite some time, and you know, sponsored programs beat us to the punch. You know, right now it's just a bandwidth problem, but let me, you know, talk with our folks and see if we can stand something up. It does seem like it's a helpful, you know, service that we could offer.
I have a question for you. For people who might be viewing these afterwards on the web, I don't know if the chats would be also in the video. Are they there, or?
The chats are not in the video, but I take all the links that are in the chats and I add them to the video description so folks can copy and paste those.
I see. Okay, so the reason I asked that was that it seems like we might have to be careful about maybe even repeating the questions. to make it easier for people who would be reviewing these later. So James, you answered a question. Could you say what was the question?
Someone was asking if CGA could do office hours like you all are doing, and I think something that we're interested in doing.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for James?
Yeah. Well, oh, 9 o'clock. I've got to go.
No, he's smart.
Ahmed, I want to add one more thing. On our sponsor programs training website, we do post the chat as well as the agenda for these forums.
Okay. Okay. Anything else from anybody? No? Last call. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you again for joining us. We'll go back to do our work and serve the community we serve. Have a great rest of the week. See you next month.